Was watch collecting better before crazy prices or now crazy prices?
Okay, was watch collecting better before crazy prices? Look, I've got to tell you something. The whole reason I started this channel and I started off, my first watch was a 1016 Explorer 1 when I was 18. I could never, I was just, I was on average, lower middle class money. Okay. And I love these things. I could never afford this stuff new. I always had to get a discount. This is the reason. I could never afford to go and pay full price for I remember when I got my first Rolex, one of the really posh jewelers had it for 2.5. That was the price. Retail was 2.5. I got it for 1,500 for a mate of a mate who was in the trade. And you know what? They were always expensive. They were always expensive. It's like a Mercedes. You look at prices and say, oh, wow, in 1970, you could have, let me say, in 1960s, you could have a Ferrari. John Lennon's first car was a Ferrari 330, £6,400.
It was still a huge amount of money.
But that was a massive amount of money.
But Archie, just going back to Gav's question there, you know what's really interesting, Gavin? If I go back, and I've just had a bit of a sort of flashback, 10, 12 years ago, 2010, the dearest watches were new. Everything was a discount of new. Now,
Yes.
I was giving 25% off on gold Daytonas.
Mhm.
I sold many a gold Daytona for 16, 18,000 when they retailed at 24. So going back to then, 16, 18 for a new. If you bought a 4-year-old Daytona gold, it was then 12,000. So all of this was so much more affordable. Besides vintage, everything was 10% off of Submariners. So 2,800 less, you were paying 2.5 back in 2007. So it was far more affordable. But in those days, people didn't have the collections they have now. No one had now in 2022, many of people say I've got 20 watches, 40 watches.
Yes.
Back in 10, 15 years ago, people had 2 or 3, 5 pieces.
Yes.
They didn't have the numbers they have
Yes.
now, without question.
100.
Would you not agree?
100%. In fact, let me just say this too. If you look at why is this so? It was rumored that in the 70s, if you got your Patek service, Patek would lend you another watch. They had those steel ellipses.
Yes.
Because nobody had more than one watch.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was it was greedy. Remember, you had after World War II, you had rationing. So if you were if you had more than one, you were greedy and you were depriving someone else.
People didn't. People, as I say, going back in sort of 07, 2010, 10, 12 years.
First brand to become really collectible in multiples, Panerai, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And was watch collecting better before crazy prices? I got to be totally honest with you. It's easy to reminisce with rose-colored glasses and say, I could have got this and got that. But that's only because...
But no one did then. No one did.
No one did. So the thing is this. You know what? There are good buys now. I was looking at BQ. I had all the prices at the show. There's what I'm finding now is, if you're a watch collector, okay, you can't all have all Rolexes. Rolexes are expensive. But you have one Rolex, you get yourself maybe a nice Omega,
a Tudor,
Breitling, or a Tudor. That's what we found at the show. We did sell quite a cross section of Tudors, Omegas, Chopards. Again, there are some great watches there.
There were some good buys.
That's £4,000.
Yes,
it's half the price of new, and that's what people used to buy from us, and that's where value is. And some people have overlooked some. There are still items, Gavin, of good value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to pick them out.
Yeah.
So I would say they've always been expensive. What Rolex, it's all relative.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that we remember the good times. I can remember being offered a Daytona in 2010 at retail. It was a black dial. Actually, 2010. I didn't have the money. I mean, I also was offered a from a secondhand dealer a 3800 Patek Nautilus. That's the solid gold one for £5,000.
That was smaller size. I think that's 38.
Slightly.
Yeah, 38 mil.
£5,000, but you
Yeah.
tell me, would you buy that for £5,000 with bracelet? Nice bracelet.